I failed my 2025 K-pop debut project. So let's talk about it. My boyfriend and I sat down on the couch in January to start watching music videos, and we were going to change the format a little bit to streamline the process. But it's where we weren't going to talk about every single one. We were just going to watch them. And it took a couple hours, which is pretty normal. But, a couple hours, not a big deal. And then we hit February. And there were 31 debuts marked for February. So for context of why this is a big deal is that I did this project, I never made a video for it, but I watched all the debuts in 2021, and in February of 2021 there were 7 songs for me to review. The next year, 2022, you did see this one, there was 14. I did it again in 23, again, didn't make a video, but there were 6 debuts in February. In 24, it kind of shot up there. 2024, we had 16 songs that we reviewed in 2024. It's a lot, but that felt pretty normal. This year in 2025, there was 31 debuts. It took us multiple nights to get through them just because we're not the type of people who sit still for long periods of time. Whatever, a big month, kind of crazy, but we made it through, right? And then we started March. 25 debuts. April, 49 debuts. We never ended up finishing April because it stopped being fun. There's only 30 days in the month of April, so that means there was at least 2 debuts nearly every day. There was 38 debuts in May. There was 28 debuts by June 20th. I didn't even count through the entire month of June. I will be the first to admit I'm not a thorough researcher. I don't even count every debut out there because I use one source to make sure that I'm keeping it simple for myself. So that means there's more out there that I didn't even find. That's almost 185 debuts in half of the year. In 2021, I reviewed about 85 songs. In 2022, I reviewed about 115 songs. So why am I telling you all of this? Am I just here to complain about the K-pop industry getting too big and complain that too many K-pop artists are debuting? Not really. I enjoy this genre and the fan culture and the music, and new music in this genre is great for me. But when I was 100 debuts deep by only March, I really kept asking myself over and over again, is this even K-pop? Or is this just a Korean person who's making music? What even defines K-pop as a musical genre? Well, it's shorthand for Korean pop music. Yeah, sure, but I don't think Dreamcatcher necessarily does pop as a genre. I love Bad Villains so much, but I don't think they do pop as a genre really either. I would argue groups like Everglow and Blackpink lean more electronic than pop. Twice's last 2 title tracks aren't even Korean. BTS had Dynamite and Butter on the radio forever over here in the States. And to be clear, I do actually qualify all of these artists as K-pop artists, and I think those songs were K-pop songs. I don't think the song Pivot by Haeyoon is a K-pop debut, despite a lot of people adding it to their lists when they reviewed debuts. I don't think DPR Arctic is a K-pop debut, even though I found him on a list of K-pop debuts. And I really do not think Ji-yoon's Shattered is a K-pop debut. She is a pianist and a composer. And do you want to know why I know her name and listened to her song? It is because I found it listed as a K-pop debut. Likely, all of these people, I found them because they were Korean people who just had released their first song. This is not meant to be shade towards any of these artists. I really enjoyed all 3 of these songs, actually. But for me to go out here and say, you're Korean, therefore your song is K-pop, let's just sit with that statement for a minute, right? You're Korean, therefore your song is K-pop. It's a gross overgeneralization, and it doesn't serve the artist or the genre. So what if we look beyond national ties, right? Because if you think about it, when a Chinese woman is singing an English hip-hop song, we call it K-pop, and we Love it. It really got me thinking, and so I went to ask a few people who I talk to regularly about what their definitions of K-pop are. So I started with an Instagram moot who's mostly follows girl groups. She's been in it since about 2020, like about the same time as me. And for her, she said the core of K-pop is a song and an album that follows a distinct theme, complete with distinct styling, tone, choreography. And for her, the language sung or the nationality of the members is not the central role, but rather the presentation of the song and the album. She also talked about experimentation as part of the genre, and the willingness to change concepts or to do something new is a stylistic hallmark of K-pop. And she even admitted that that part was really hard to define, and the word experimentation was important to her in this definition, even if she didn't quite know how it fit in. Another friend, Lexi, you might know her here as onceglassy here on YouTube. She's been into K-pop forever and listens to a wide range of things. For her, she says that the genre is really defined by its emphasis on fan culture. So for her, executing a concept and experimenting is the main part that she focuses on, and the fan component makes the genre flexible. While all K-music is not K-pop, K-pop and its fan culture can be a shorthand for a lot of different styles of K-music. And in my last video, if you watched that, I asked people to define K-pop for themselves and add a comment, and Sammy Stay OT8, you did reply, thank you so much, and they said for them that the hallmark of K-pop is the blend of performance, rap, and vocal skills. And the combination of these elements, and how those elements are varied within a group, is why a group can look so different, and groups can have so many different musical styles. And they also mentioned that the core of the song is that it's mostly Korean, with some English in the mix, which I found really interesting. So, thank you, Sammy, for your comment. But that's a really small sampling, right? I've only given you the perspectives of 3 people. But they're all 3 different answers, right? Some focus on language, some focus on choreo, and some are just kind of focused on vibes, honestly. There is a common theme throughout, in that all 3 answers do heavily emphasize the performance elements of K-pop, as well as an understanding that pop music doesn't really define the genre ultimately. So what's my take? What is the difference between a Korean artist making music and a K-pop artist? It's the idol system. It's that fill in the blank of K-pop idol. I define K-pop as musicians who are attempting to cultivate a personality and participate in the Korean idol system. For many of these artists, that looks like rigorous training to perfect their vocal and dancing abilities, but it also includes media training, language lessons. Some artists have had selfie classes, and they're cultivating a persona. Idols sell you a personality. Think about it. Both the groups Islet and Dreamcatcher are K-pop groups, right? And no one would argue with that. And sonically, they are day and night. Islet is very cute and dreamy and this magical girl, not quite magical girl, but you know what I mean. They have this very soft persona about them. Dreamcatcher is rock and metal sonically, and they are selling you a totally different persona. But what unites them is that they are selling you something. They are selling you a product themselves. You like me, so you should buy my album. I think to the thinking about differences, I think about Cure, I'm sorry, I don't know how to say their name, the girl band, and Rolling Quartz. Both of them are girl bands in the Korean music scene. Rolling Quartz isn't K-pop though. They take pride in being a K-rock band. They emphasize music over everything else. If you look on their YouTube channel, they do post occasional vlogs for special events, or they'll post selfies on Instagram, but the core of what they post is filled with concert videos and performance videos and covers. Their concerts are non-stop music with very little time for fan interactions. There's no talk segments really in their concerts. To the other hand, Cure, which I do admit I know less about them, but they're also a girl band, and they take pride in being a girl band and making rock music, right? Or band music, I should say. But they participate much more heavily in the K-pop system, and I would argue that they're more of a K-pop artist because of that. If you look on their YouTube channel, their branding features vlogs of daily life all the time. They have variety content, and they have things that build the brand of the band members as individuals and personalities beyond just the albums that they are putting out. Because the reality is of K-pop, while it is the base of music, I think what defines this genre isn't even the music. The music is just a byproduct. The music is a baseline that keeps us interacting with the system, but its defining factor isn't what music they're performing, it's the people performing it. Not everyone in K-pop is polished and perfect, but there is a striving for it. And I think that's why the genre is so hard to define, because you have to know about the artists themselves to be able to give a definition. So, why does this matter at all? Why am I talking about this? I could have just Googled K-pop, read a definition, called it a day. And I bring it up primarily because I think it is interesting and I enjoy talking about things that are interesting. The fact that I found 3 different people who really love K-pop and they gave me 3 different answers about how to define the genre gives me a moment of pause. The fact that when I was talking to my friends and I could get some live reactions from them, there was such a pause and a moment of thought, and I got told, wow, this is a hard question to answer. And that moment of pause makes it worth my time for me to keep asking, how do you define K-pop? And hearing people's points of view. And secondly, like I said in the beginning, my other core driving thing behind this is that it's really important for us to think of K-pop not as just Korean music. Because losing that nuance makes us worse fans. Setting that boundary might seem restrictive in some ways. Oh, how do you know if they're K-pop? But at the same time, I think it can also create a dangerous slope if we don't set that restriction in place. Because generalization, especially generalizations of huge groups of people, even if you're only generalizing musical artists, is never going to be a good thing. People are welcome to listen to whatever music they want, of course, and they can enjoy it however they want. And of course, if an artist defines themselves as K-pop, go ahead, follow their lead. But let's make sure we're not putting words into someone's mouth. And that's all I have for you today. Thank you very much for listening. I am desperate to hear your thoughts on the matter, or if you have something to add, please let me know in the comments. I found myself having a really hard time trying to articulate my thoughts on this particular matter and articulate them in a more video essay style like this. So if you agree or disagree, or maybe you think you understand what I'm saying and have a better way of defining it, please let me know. This is my first time doing this style of content and it was much harder than I thought. But I want to hear your thoughts, truly, truly. I think that's the point of this piece. It's so short and sweet and I want to start a conversation. But that's all I have for you right now, team. My fellow K-pops and cosmic bodies, thank you so much for hanging out, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.